In this module, we will learn the inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs of the Develop Project Management Plan process. Remember that the color orange represents the planning process group. In addition to planning all of the what's of a project, the scope, the schedule, and the budget, it is also important to plan the management approach. In other words, how the project will be managed. While the management approach may be similar for two different projects, it will almost never be exactly the same. Since each project is temporary and unique, it is important for the project management team to tailor the management approach to each individual project. Some attributes to think about may include the complexity of the project, the size of the project team, the size of the budget, the amount of uncertainty in the project environment, and the personalities of different types of project stakeholders. After taking the uniqueness of each project into consideration, the team should document its planned approach to help create transparency and eliminate confusion when there is turnover within the management team. The purpose of the Develop Project Management Plan process is to integrate 23 other processes that make up the project planning process group. It does this by taking many of the outputs from these other planning processes and consolidating them into one plan known as the Project Management Plan. These outputs can be broken down into two categories: subsidiary management plans and baselines. Subsidiary management plans are created to describe how various areas of the project are to be managed. They may describe which tools and techniques should be used, the frequency that a process should be performed, or which stakeholders will have a role in a process. Baselines are a result of scope, schedule, and cost planning, representing approved versions of the plan of work, the project schedule, and the project budget. To better understand the process Develop Project Management Plan, let's discuss the inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs in more detail. The PMBOK guide defines 4 inputs to the Develop Project Management Plan process. The first input is the project charter. The project charter being an input can imply a few things. This process should first be conducted early on in the life cycle of a project or phase. In fact, the full project management team may not even be assembled at this point. Further, it is important to understand the project objectives, the business need, and any contractual obligations that may exist as the project management plan is being integrated. The next input, described, is labeled Outputs from Other Planning Processes. This means that several of the components of the project management plan are created in separate project management planning processes, which overlap this process and each other. For example, the risk management plan is generated in a different process titled Plan Risk Management. Since the risk management plan needs to be well integrated with the rest of project planning, it is an input to the Develop Project Management Plan process. There are 12 subsidiary management plans and 3 baselines that are generated from other processes and considered to be inputs to this process. You can think of this as consolidating multiple files into one master document. This can get confusing, so we will discuss these again in just a moment. Enterprise environmental factors can be a major input to defining the management approach, particularly government standards, stakeholder culture, and the organization's existing infrastructure and tools. Finally, organizational process assets may contribute a project management plan template, lessons learned, or provide organizational policies and guidelines that can be used to shape the management approach for the project. While templates can provide a great starting off point for the development of a project management plan, it is important that a lot of adjustment is made to help tailor the plan to the uniqueness of the project. There are several tools and techniques that could be used for the Develop Project Management Plan process and will be seen in many other processes we will explore. Both expert judgment and data gathering represent the determination of a project management approach by the project management team. On a small project, this may be limited to just the project manager, while on a larger project, this may include others such as technical leads, project schedulers, cost controllers, or other stakeholders that will influence the management style. The project management team will need to leverage interpersonal and leadership skills, such as managing team member conflict or disagreements, facilitation, and efficient meeting management. While not listed in the PMBOK guide, it could be helpful to consider the main technique of this process as the consolidation or integration of all of the subsidiary management plans into one collective document or folder known as the Project Management Plan. The primary output of this process is the Project Management Plan, a consolidation of many subsidiary management plans and project baselines. The purpose of the Project Management Plan is to document the approach as to how the project will be planned, executed, monitored, controlled, and closed. It should reflect how general management approaches will be tailored to meet the individual needs of a project, define the tools and techniques that will be used, and describe the level of detail, formality, and structure that will be required for various project management processes. This document should answer the question, how will we manage the project? As with most of project planning, this process will be required early on in the project lifecycle. However, the project management plan should be revisited and updated throughout the project lifecycle, particularly as the project team transitions from one project phase to another. In addition to the many subsidiary management plans, the project management plan will also include the 3 approved project baselines. The scope baseline will define the approved project work to be completed. The schedule baseline will define the approved schedule of work, and the cost baseline will define the approved costs for project work. There are 2 subsidiary plans that are not developed in any other process. Therefore, it is implied that they are developed within the Develop Project Management Plan process, the Change Management Plan and the Configuration Management Plan. Since they will not be developed in later processes, let's define the Change and Configuration Management Plans. The Change Management Plan establishes how the project baselines will be approved, controlled, and updated. Since project baselines have been approved by key project stakeholders, they cannot be changed arbitrarily. This plan will describe the procedures for how the integrated change control process should be performed to manage changes to scope, schedule, and cost. The Configuration Management Plan is similar to the Change Management Plan, but focuses on changes to deliverables, the other management plans, and other project documents. For instance, the rules for modifying the Schedule Management Plan might be less stringent and involve different stakeholders than to change the schedule baseline. Let's review a few key points about the Project Management Plan. The Project Management Plan is not a standalone document, but rather a name used to describe the collection of several subsidiary management plans and project baselines. Its primary purpose is to describe how the project should be managed. Through the inclusion of project baselines, it also describes what should be done, when, and for how much money. It is a living, breathing document which should be progressively elaborated as the project evolves throughout its life cycle. Since the project management plan describes the management approach, it will be found as an input to nearly all other project management processes. For each process, it is useful to try to identify the elements that might be most useful to complete that specific process. The project management plan helps to create transparency of management styles and decisions among the project management team, which may change throughout the project lifecycle.